who she thinks she is, but I do think it might be someone with real power, and it shouldn't be. She wanted her own Hail to the Chiefs song, and it happened. It's called Fanfare for the First Lady. It's a terrible song. Listen to a little bit of this. The point is her ego. Her ego is out of control.
What happens when the queen of political control finally meets her match? Picture Hillary Clinton unraveling on live TV as Megyn Kelly drags her deepest secrets right out of the shadows. This isn't politics as usual. It's a front row seat to a slow-motion car crash. And yes, the popcorn's included. The air crackles with tension, tempers explode, and egos collide in ways you couldn't script if you tried. Thought all the scandals were ancient history? Think again. This is the sequel no one saw coming, and Hillary's fury just became must-see television.
Very weird and I think shitty marriage. I don't think she has a husband who is in love with her or faithful to her, and I think I can't really blame him because she seems to have accepted this behavior since the inception of their marriage. And so past this prologue, you're going to get what you tolerate. You know, what you permit, you promote. She spent all of her daughter's upbringing away, at work, at the law firm, in the White House, running for office. And Chelsea Clinton is not a nice person.
Hillary's entire brand was wrapped in layers of political armor, as if she believed the public would eventually stop asking hard questions. Spoiler alert, they didn't. Enter Megyn Kelly, a media sniper with aim so precise she could hit a nerve from a mile away. Megyn doesn't play softball. She fires truth bombs. And on this day, she came fully loaded, ready to detonate every illusion Hillary ever built.
Happening in America. You can feel it. Something we've worked for and dreamed of for a long time. Donald Trump fell asleep at his own trial, and when he woke up, he made his own kind of history. The first person to run for president with 34 felony convictions.
Before we go any further, hit that like button and subscribe because you do not want to miss what's coming next. For years, Hillary Clinton has walked through Washington like a fortress in heels. Stone walls, iron gates, and a moat filled with perfectly rehearsed excuses. She built her image to be unbreakable, untouchable, immune. Decades of controversy rolled right off her as if reality didn't apply. The emails? Just a little mix-up. The shady ties? Harmless networking. Every spin polished to perfection. But now, the walls are closing in, and there's nowhere left to hide.
Appendix to Durham's report from May of 2023. Let's see. Reveals strong evidence that the FBI covered up a plot by the Hillary Clinton campaign to amplify ties between Trump and Russia. That the FBI covered up the plot. This is the new piece of it that's being dropped today because we knew Hillary did it. And Fox Digital had reported earlier this week that we were going to see this annex and it was going to suggest the FBI knew that she was going to do it and then covered it up. And that's where we're going now with this, that Kash Patel said he found the Durham appendix and thousands of other documents inside a burn bag in a secret room at FBI headquarters.
Hillary walked into that studio with her signature smile, polished, practiced, and perfectly rehearsed. But Megyn Kelly wasn't impressed. She brought receipts. The moment the first question hit, you could practically hear Hillary's political armor groan under the pressure. This was live TV gold, that kind of breath-holding tension where you know something big is about to snap.
Ball game today than it was even 4 years ago, never mind 8 or 10 years ago when she was doing all this. And back to Hillary, you know, the whole, she has a hat she's tweeted herself out wearing, but her emails. She's tried to turn it into this ridiculous joke like, oh, but the moon landing, like you nutcases who are still railing about this made up scandal, this thing that, you know, you've used to try to unfairly tar me. She did need to distract from that email scandal.
Megyn didn't just lift the curtain. She tore it down like duct tape ripping off skin. What spilled out was messy. Secrets, lies, and cracks in the facade Hillary had spent decades cementing. Her composure fell apart faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. Watching it happen felt like seeing someone's carefully stacked Jenga tower flicked over by a kid who just wanted to watch it crash. Every revelation made the spectacle bigger, wilder, and impossible to turn away from.
Be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal. She made up a scandal about Trump being a Russian asset.
At first, Hillary reached for her old playbook. Dodge, deflect, dismiss, like a lawyer rehearsing for a courtroom drama. But Megyn wasn't having it. She came in as judge, jury, and wrecking crew combined. Each fact hit like a hammer, and then came the blowout. Hillary didn't just lose her cool, she erupted. Years of control evaporated under the bright studio lights. Her voice tightened, her face flushed, and suddenly the polished politician looked like a machine short-circuiting in real time. It was the pressure cooker moment everyone secretly hopes for on live TV. Steam hissing, patience gone, everything bursting at once. The talk turned to murky business deals and shady alliances that have haunted her for years, the kind that make everyday folks wonder, how did she get away with this for so long?
Speaking of Hillary, her op-ed, which is really pretty spectacular in the New York Times. First of all, my team just showed me this. Have you seen the cover for her new book? It's something lost, something gained. Gained is with Freudian slip. And I like the amount of retouching on this face I haven't seen since, Joan Rivers had her 15th surgery. God love Joan. I don't know what she's trying to be with this soft focus. My executive producer, Steve Krakauer, is like, she looks nothing like herself.
Megyn lined up her evidence like a prosecutor building a flawless case, and Hillary had nowhere to run. The rehearsed talking points crumbled, the charm faded, and every attempt to pivot looked painfully forced. The angrier she got, the more chaotic it became. Instead of staying calm, Hillary went nuclear, flinging excuses and blame that hit the floor with a thud. Meanwhile, Megyn stayed cool, landing fact after fact while Hillary's meltdown turned into late-night comedy material. Viewers couldn't look away. It felt like the dramatic season finale of a show no one realized they'd been watching. Social media exploded with memes. One minute she was the untouchable powerhouse, and the next, she was trending for all the wrong reasons.
I think really is just sort of getting along based on the family name at this point. And so now she's got a daughter who I guess married a rich guy, but is struggling in her own right. Hillary's in a loveless marriage. She probably doesn't have a lot of real friends, just people who are glommers. And so she absolutely does have to write a fifth memoir and go on MSNBC and be told that she's amazing and that she matters.
Here's the twist no one expected. Hillary, who spent a lifetime scripting her own stories, suddenly couldn't control this one. The harder she tried, the more it slipped through her hands like water. By the end, Megyn stood calm and confident, glowing with victory, while Hillary looked like the lead in a viral blooper reel. But this wasn't just a bad night. The damage ran deep. Those long-buried secrets dragged her legacy right back into the spotlight, exposing what she'd worked decades to hide. What unfolded wasn't just anger. It was the collision of decades of political spin with cold, unforgiving truth. When the dust settled, Hillary wasn't just embarrassed. She was politically shattered. Megyn didn't just win the interview, she rewrote the narrative.
Dream of going up to her and sitting down next to her, taking her in my arms and saying, "Look at me, listen to me. You will survive. You will have a good family of your own and 3 children. And as hard as it might be to imagine, your daughter will grow up and become the President of the United States. I am as sure of this as anything I have ever known. America is the greatest country in the world.
Interview 9. And she didn't just explode once. She kept going, like a volcano that wouldn't stop. What started as a small crack in her calm turned into a full-on Mount Vesuvius moment. Megyn stood cool and steady, pointing out every puff of smoke with a smirk. The first wave of revelations hit hard. Backroom deals, shadowy connections, and patterns that always seemed to benefit Hillary's inner circle. Megyn laid out the money trails and coincidences so clearly that Hillary's version of events started looking like a child's messy doodle. Her reaction? That strained half-smile meant to look confident, but came off like she was fighting a sneeze at a funeral.
Chelsea Clinton, because her mother Hillary, for some reason, thought it would be moving, a good idea, a good PR move, for her to on camera read the acceptance speech she was going to give in 2016, the night she never was able to let down the balloons and the fireworks. And it's part of a masterclass, I guess, educational video on the topic of resilience. And here's a little soundbite of
that famous half smile. Couldn't hide the panic. Her eyes darted, her shoulders tightened, and for one fleeting second, you could see it. The realization that her old tricks weren't going to save her this time. Megyn wasn't buying it, and neither was anyone watching. So Hillary turned defensive, wagging her finger and accusing her critics of obsession. It was like watching someone yell, "Why are you talking about this?" While standing in a fire they started themselves. Each angry outburst only made her look more rattled. Meanwhile, Megyn coolly redirected the spotlight to Hillary's lifelong dance with power, the woman who called herself a fighter for the people, even as old allies resurfaced with a different story.
Is it over? Is she done? I'm so uncomfortable.
I don't know about you, but that speech makes me, I relive that same night that Trump got elected, man. It makes me feel so good when I hear that.
I'm, the kids say cringe. It's very cringy, the whole thing. And why, of all time, right, like for 4 years and beyond, we were always saying she's like a nice woman. She never expresses emotion. She had
It was like Megyn had opened a closet, and instead of one skeleton falling out, an entire marching band came bursting through with drums and horns. Each revelation reminded viewers that Hillary's rise wasn't built on kindness, but on sharp elbows and relentless ambition. She squirmed, interrupted, rolled her eyes, desperate to regain control, but it was long gone. Every excuse sounded weaker than the last. Calling the questions unfair didn't help either. It only made her look cornered. Megyn, unfazed, stayed steady, breaking down Hillary's image piece by piece until the myth collapsed under its own weight.
That homebrew server that had been accessed by foreign agents. She compromised national intelligence information. She did things she would never have allowed anybody at the State Department to do under her. And that leaves me back to Schellenberger here. This is page 4 of his report. He writes as follows: the Russian reports, again, that the Dutch spied on, that we got our hands on, also claimed, and listen to this. I mean, you probably already know this stuff, Glenn, but claimed that Attorney General Loretta Lynch, okay, this is back in 2016, people, remember, Obama's president. Loretta Lynch is his Attorney General. And her DOJ/FBI are investigating the Hillary Clinton email scandal.
The irony was that Hillary could have saved herself if she'd just stayed calm, but she took every bit of bait Megyn tossed. It was like watching a cat chase laser dots until it collapses from exhaustion. Every reaction became a viral clip, every awkward face a meme. Late-night hosts feasted on it. Viewers weren't just reacting to the secrets, they were mesmerized by the meltdown itself. And then Megyn did what few interviewers ever manage. She tied it all together, connecting every scandal into one seamless story. By the end, Hillary wasn't arguing over isolated incidents anymore. She was drowning in a narrative that made her look less like a leader and more like a warning sign. Her mask cracked, and beneath the calm exterior was pure, raw fury.
Clinton decided to drop an op-ed in the New York Times today that's entitled, "How Much Dumber Will This Get?" And she uses Signalgate and the messaging by Pete Hegseth and Mike Walls and JD Vance and Tulsi and others on there as the jumping off point to talk about how dumb the Trump administration is. Some highlights. She calls the Trump administration hypocritical, dangerous, and dumb over this story. It's not the hypocrisy that bothers me. It's the stupidity.
13, Hillary leaned forward and lashed out, her words dripping with venom, the kind of rage that strips paint off walls. But the more she ranted, the clearer it became. This wasn't power, it was panic. She wasn't commanding the room, she was losing it. Megyn stayed composed, letting her vent until the storm burned itself out, then dropped one cutting line that sealed the deal. No shouting, no theatrics, just a calm knockout blow that left Hillary dazed. Within minutes, the fallout began. Clinton had walked in planning to dominate, but instead, she handed her critics gold, undeniable footage of her unraveling live. Megyn didn't just expose secrets, she tore down the illusion of control Hillary had spent decades protecting.
This is a much more soft, welcoming, friendly, I suppose, Hillary. Although again, to self-awareness, something lost, huh? I wonder what that was, really. Right. You know, the woman who wrote a book called What Happened, like marveling over all the external forces that could have caused her loss in a presidential election that was handed to her on a silver platter. And then you get into this op-ed, which again, is just remarkable for what's in there. She has a paragraph in there about all the prep she did.
You can't shine up a train wreck, and this was living proof. The footage spread everywhere, Hillary losing her grip while Megyn sliced through her defenses with surgical precision. The internet turned it into a feeding frenzy. People who once believed in her polished image now saw a flustered politician fumbling for answers. Memes crowned her the human volcano. Late-night comedians had a field day. And Megyn? She didn't even have to raise her voice. She simply let Hillary implode under her own pressure. This wasn't just a bad night. It was a reminder that history never forgets. Every past scandal came roaring back like ghosts demanding attention.
Banked on the intel agencies working with her to perpetuate this lie, and it appears they were only too happy to assist. That's what this scandal's about. Pieces of it we knew. New pieces are coming in by the day thanks to these declassifications, and it's downright shocking. Do not believe that there's no there there. The people who are saying that are wrong. They're wrong. What just broke today, like moments before it came to air, we're still getting our arms around it, was obviously provided to Michael Schellenberger before 2 minutes ago.
And the irony of it all, almost poetic. Hillary's career was built on controlling every story, spinning every narrative. But this time, the story controlled her. What the world saw wasn't strength or confidence. It was a woman cracking under the weight of her own past. By the end, there was no question left to ask. Hillary Clinton hadn't just lost her temper. She lost the last piece of her untouchable image. Megyn Kelly didn't just pull back the curtain. She tore it down completely, revealing a truth that echoed long after the cameras stopped rolling. That beneath the polish and political armor, Hillary was never as invincible as she wanted the world to believe.